Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Cardano, taking a look at the price action of ADA and what we think is likely to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Now, if you are interested in a little bit more from the crypto space, why not check out the Patreon services? We actually offer a lot more for Patreon members via Discord. This is everything from AMAs, twice weekly project reviews, what Chris and myself are getting up to in terms of what we're buying, staking, selling, and of course trading as well if that's of interest to you. So why not go ahead and check out the Patreon services if that does sound interesting. Also in the below you'll find a whole host of other links that I think are quite important, might be worth looking at, all the deposit bonuses and various different things you can get from BitGet and Bybit, all the way through to hardware wallets such as Ledger, right? So check those out if they're of interest to you. Really do help support the channel. Okay, let's go and make a start with this though. So Cardano paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is the data source, right? So what we can do is we can see that we've got 5 waves coming down here. Our expectation is at some point that we are going to see another 5 waves to the downside, right? It's be unusual only to have 5 waves on their own. So you'll be 5, 3, then 5. Now, a lot of time has passed since we've kind of spoken about this. And you kind of see here that we had this kind of 3-wave structured move up. We kind of have our 3-wave structured move coming down. It's not finished. So this might actually be an expanding flat correction that actually has to come up higher before we can come on down again in the next 5 waves. So let's talk about where we are right now. Okay, so let me just go and draw this out so we can kind of get us up to date. We kind of have 3 waves here, right? So we can just see 3 waves in there, and we can argue that this looks really interesting, but it's still all 3-wave structures. And when we say 3 waves, these essentially are just short-term moves. As we come over this side, we can see that something hasn't actually finished yet. So we've kind of got ourselves this little area here where we can kind of acknowledge that there's something like this going on. But all of this is actually just wrapped up inside something larger, which would be something like this. And I don't think that's actually finished yet. So we're going to talk about that in a second. And then, of course, as we come down here, we can see a lot more volatility as well. So we can kind of see that maybe the first set of waves are done. So we might say, okay, here and here, for example. And then inside there, you have your kind of 3-wave structures as well. So that kind of makes sense. And that we kind of have gone down at least with 1 wave. Now, it's possible, of course, that this here marks the end of this area and then we're just looking to go up. Okay, that's also possible, so we'll talk about that. But it's also possible that we actually still have to come down lower. Okay, so let's go ahead and just clean that up, zoom out a fraction. What we're going to do is we're going to grab hold of our fibs. We're going to run this from the bottom here all the way to the top there, and then we're going to move this over to here on the B wave bounce, and then we can see that, yeah, we could be moving down here towards 39.69, although that would be slightly below this double bottom from over here on the 13th of July. So chances are actually the 13th of July will probably be a support. So we'll probably end up with a double bottom under that kind of premise. And probably not go down to the 1-to-1. Like I said though, it's also possible that this area here just north of that 786 is also done. I mean, technically speaking, that would be a minimum requirement of a C wave actually being up here. So it's possible that this has completed. Okay, but we'll leave it down there for now, and we'll talk about, you know, what's going on within this little area. Okay, so let's go ahead and expand this up, move this across, and start mapping out what's going on, right? So inside here, it's a couple of different ways of looking at it. We've kind of got the potential to say that there's 5 waves going up here. So we can go ahead and grab hold of the 5-wave structure. We can say, okay, well, maybe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like so. Okay, and then we're moving down, come down in 3. We can see this is pretty clear, 1, 2, and 3. Nothing too much there. And then we would maybe look up to go up in 5 more, right? And we'd look at that as a potential move here. Now, if we were to try to track this move to the downside, you'd say maybe there is 5 waves in there as well. Maybe it's a zigzag and maybe it did actually complete over here and something else is going on. It's really quite a tough one to say for Cardano at this point. So I think what we'll do is we'll focus in on this little area, as in this could be 5 up, 3 down, then we have 5 up. Or it could also be that this is, maybe I'm just over analyzing it. Maybe it's not 5 waves up and maybe in fact actually all that is going on is there is a 3-wave move like that. Okay, so there's 2 different ways of looking at it. I'm going to leave it as if it were a 5-wave up, okay, and we'll adjust that later if we need to. Okay, then of course we get this little area here. Okay, so if we focus in on this, we can see that we have got ourselves a series of higher lows down at the low end here. Okay, we can see that, and of course we're kind of getting ourselves stuck up. Let me just move this box back up there. We can move this down here. We can see it's a bit of a triangular shaped wedge, right? And we're going to break from here. Okay, so let's go ahead and see which direction we think this is going to break in, considering this is potentially a C wave point. We should be moving up, right? We're in an ideal world. Now, our hourly stochastic RSI is actually indicating to us that we're up in the overbought area. So this is basically going to say that actually we've got momentum to shift to the downside. On the 4-hourly, we're actually primed and ready for a good move to the upside, so that's pretty encouraging. On the 8-hour, we can see that we've corrected down quite nicely. We've got a bit more though, and the daily's in an interesting spot, along with the weekly being overbought, so, or just coming out of overbought. So essentially, actually everything there's looking interesting. I would say that we're probably going to break down. Okay, and normally this happens when you're setting these higher lows anyway, but we are setting the lower highs, so these triangular wedges can be a little bit more difficult than your standard kind of ascending triangles and things like that. So let's go ahead and just assume this is going to be a breakdown rather than up, even though I should be thinking break up, but maybe it's just not quite there yet. Okay, so we could just come out of this triangle, then push up. So we'll keep a close eye on it. Let's go ahead and actually focus in on a couple of other things. So right in here is going to be our little demand zone. Okay, this is with the resistance lines, if you will. And you can see actually all the way down here, there's a lot of demand coming in. And this is actually the most recent one. And if we were to go ahead and actually grab another box, and I was to go ahead and find the most common area, I'm going to give it a slice right about here. I'm going to say that this little area right here is our supply zone. Okay, so what we've kind of got here is you come in, you got rejected, we pushed through, we came back, we got in, rejected. Up here, all of this kind of volatility around this area. Here you can see that this was a demand area, as in we wicked into it, and there was a lot of buying pressure here, and we moved on up, so a lot of support to be found, and then it turned into resistance, okay? So at the moment, as it stands, we've got ourselves our demand being down here, okay? And this basically being between 42.13 and 42.30, and up here we have our supply. Okay, this is being our resistance at 42.6 to 42.67. Okay, so we've got ourselves these 2 areas, right? Now, our stochastic RSI is saying that we are probably going to be moving to the downside, and in which case we're probably going to be coming into this demand zone, and then we're probably going to come on out of here. Okay, now I do think that this area here has been hit so many times it's going to actually get broken through. And our 4-hour chart's in a good spot. The 8-hour chart's almost in a good spot. So we could look for here is a small breakdown into the demand zone and then rally out of it. Okay. Now, from an Elliott wave theory point of view, the only way that would work, of course, our C wave might not be done. We know about that, but it basically might be something like this. Right, and of course we're looking for 5 up. So if we zoom back out, we have 5 here, we have 3 down. Maybe what we're actually looking at here is going to be 1 coming up here, 2 coming down here, 3, 4, then 5, like so. Okay, maybe that's actually going to be a bit more like that. Okay, so these are things that we're going to have to keep an eye on as we kind of tie these things together. There's a lot of volatility in here. Buyers and sellers really don't know what they're doing, by the looks of it. There's all these high wicks and low wicks. Basically, pressure is being pulled in everywhere. Let's go ahead and throw in the order blocks on this hourly. We can see that down here. It's actually a small one. I'm not too concerned. Sellers are up there. Nothing too much to major concern. Down here, again at 41 cents. And the sellers are nowhere to be seen. On the 4-hourly, let's go ahead and check the 8-hourly. Bring this back down. That's all the way down on the 40-cent range, which we know. It's a good area for us, which is fine. And let's bring us up into the daily finally. And here we can see it's right here at that 36 and to 37 cent, and sellers all the way up there. So we know that there's huge amounts of liquidity at these lower ranges. So again, you know, I'm not sure we're going to go past this demand. It's possible, of course, that we just bring that C wave down lower, hit this, then rally. That's also fine. bringing in the liquidity pretty evenly stacked, a little bit more to the upside than there is to the downside. So a lot of shorting pressure, not a lot of long pressure. So keep an eye on that. I do think that's all going to get grabbed at some point, but maybe this is going to be a quick grab of liquidity down here before they rally on up. But yeah, for the most part, I think that looks pretty good. And yeah, so that's kind of where we sit with Cardano, it looks like. Basically, I'm thinking small move down, 5 waves up, and this C wave may or may not be complete. We'll see about that. Obviously, our C wave down here hasn't completed or has completed. It's one of those where realistically we don't know. But if we do complete 535, then I do think we're going to have to move back down, and that might be either a start of another wave, or we'll complete this one off at 40 cent, which we know is a lot of buying pressure down there as well. So guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you found it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done out of the way, hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.